Good morning, afternoon or evening. In today's video I'm going to be covering a 8v8 game that me and a squad of my friends had recently. This was before the patch that came out a few days ago, so keep that in mind. There's a lot of choke point battles, there's some island warfare, naval warfare, landings and so on. It gets quite interesting later on. So just to provide an overview of the map, I'm here in this greyish colour on the right side. I'll switch Fog of War on to make it clearer. I'm over here. My friend Napoleon here, Platypus in game, he's on the main choke point over to the other side. As you can see on the map, the choke point is here, and there's another one down here, but that's much less of a problem later on in the game. And here you see Platypus is on the front line. You've got Lion Fang up here, another one of my friends, he's supporting from behind, and we have Skull Crusher, another friend there in my squad, who is supporting again. So all of our fighting is concentrated on this quite wide choke point here, and it provides for some quite interesting combat. Just a little bit of foreshadowing here. We have green in the south, building a wall, a very good wall actually. Here, it's a bit longer than if you built it here, but it does get the stone and most of the forest. We did check, I think he checked as well, you can't get around, so once this is done, the south is secured temporarily anyway. Unfortunately though, this yellow player's pushes here are a little bit of foreshadowing as to what's going to happen soon, and I can just tell you that it doesn't end well for green or the rest of the team. And here is the first attack on green's wall. Unfortunately the towers did not get up, only one here, and you lost a couple of workers here unfortunately for that. But overall, the wall is done, and because the enemy is making archers here, so far anyway, he can't break this wall, but it's very easy obviously for Europe to break through a wall. You just need to make catapults or a ram if you want to. Spearmen will get through that eventually, and as green doesn't really have much of a military establishment, you know, they don't have any barracks, just one barrack here, it's just not enough to hold them back at long term, but it's an attempt though. We're building up our armies on the front line here, me and my squad. I've built some barracks near Platypus's town hall. You see I'm making archers. I'm going Eastern Europe, as I often do. I'm building towers at the front as well, because European towers are just better than Asian towers, and that lets Platypus focus on going up in the next stage and building his own army. As you can see, he is here. He's going for spearmen. Lion Fang is sending his own archers down as well. You see he's done the strat of warning in his chicken coop. Sometimes this is worth it, although on a map like this I'm not entirely sure, because there's only some choke points, so you know, nothing's going to come and attack your units there. There's a few different proposals, and it's always argued if that's worth it, so I'm not going to make too much of a decision. But you can see the first combat of the choke point of many thousands that are going to die here. We have European spearmen versus Asian spearmen. My archers are moving up. There was a bit of a communication problem, but we are moving up together to assist each other. And at the same time, yellow is still camping the wall here, means that green has to build his towers back, effectively surrendering the defense of the wall. If the towers were here, perhaps, you know, you could push him back, stop him getting vision and such, but it wasn't unsuccessful. So it's just some general tower pushing. You can see me slowly building towers up. I'm doing like a dotted formation so that the towers are spread out and covering as much territory as possible, giving support where needed. You see our army here got destroyed, but as the Platypus here is Asia, he is able to quite quickly replenish his losses, and he's going to Western Asia, while I'm still producing archers. He's making spearmen and heavy spearmen are very good. And I saw that in the new patch, although I haven't played it just yet, heavy spearmen of Europe, or is Asia, I'm not quite sure yet. They got quite a heavy buff, so I think we'll be seeing a lot of them soon. You can see the upgrades going in. It's very good. These upgrades are extremely necessary. This one can be good, but we don't intend to stay in the lower ages for long, so it's not necessary, because that's best when you have a lot of time to use your barracks. But in this case, we're moving up to the next stage. These will be upgraded and redundant, and that upgrade will be made redundant. A little bit of combat, nothing crazy. It's just some skirmishes. You see I'm now medieval as well. Platypus is getting there. Lion Fang up here is also... We're all getting there around the same time. Skull Crusher here is going for the longer game. He is instead taking the option of going for industrial and trying to get Wonder and making industrial army. to support us later in the game, while we hold them off on the choke point. You see I'm building workshops. There's the catapults. Catapults are just great in all aspects, really. Some economic problems, as you can see. My food is down. And that's mostly because I've only got 20 workers here unupgraded and only 3 fishing boats. I mismanaged my economy a little bit there. I should just move some workers off wood because I have too much wood. So always remember to rotate your workers onto resources you need, off of resources you don't need. A bit more combat. This is just kind of the same thing, but it's twice as big. You've got multiple enemies here fighting us, and we're starting to spot their defences and defensive buildings. Very interesting shape of a wall here. He seems to have trapped a poor worker. And our attention is brought down here again to a very large establishment by this yellow player. He's basically 1v1ing the green guy for most of the time, while we're up here fighting with archers at the moment. You see Lion Fang's archers are here. They're not going to do super well against European archers, but mixed in with my archers, it's just extra arrows really. It's these Guardian Towers that are a problem, but because we had pushed up so much here, we were able to establish the initiative and get the vision. If you look at the Fog of War, you can see that we have a good chunk of the vision. I'll build a tower here as well, and over here, and that way we have a very wide cone of vision, so they can't really flank us. Because here, obviously, you can see that, oh yeah, I'm building the tower now, and horsemen could quite easily slip through here, go into Platypus's workers, or even just go into the back line. And as you can see, there are scouts all have to pass through this base, so the scouts didn't all get very far. A little bit of scouting, but not as much as we'd like. Pikemen are here now, which means that most of Napoleon's army is going to be redundant until the Azaps come out. They can outproduce the pikemen. It's their strongest quality, I think. They're really cheap, so it's possible. Here you see one of the highest extents of the push. At this point I've got 4 catapults. I've stopped making them right now because I'm working on archers and workers instead. And Napoleon's Azaps are just soaking up damage, running around fighting the enemy archers, while mine and Lion's archers do all the damage. So you can see, you know, their units are trickling in, which is never a good thing. You should build them up and attack in one big go, because this is now giving me time to destroy everything with my catapults, while my workers run around building more barracks, more factories. Sorry, workshops at this point, not quite factories just yet. But you can see the catapults, you know, they do so much damage to buildings. They're not super great against units, but here you can see that they've lost thousands of resources in terms of royal barracks and upgraded barracks. Or shooting ranges, sorry, they weren't royal shooting ranges. Unfortunately, at the same time, this is the catastrophic loss of green. He, for some reason, gives up entirely, deletes everything just before he deletes his town hall. And obviously you can see my base is not far from his. And we're getting some pings there from our pink player in the back, who is already Turkey. He's going high on 2. He was wonder rushing, I think. And you can see, yeah, green's already given in, and yellow I think was a bit unprepared for that because his army is holding back at the moment when he really could just be pushing. Green is unable to resist him. A little bit of naval combat. You see, Lion loves his navy. He's scouting out the dockyards around here. As you can see, we can't really see all that. But I do believe he'll go up here, knock out as much fishing as possible. There's not a lot. Our enemies have only got a few people fishing, which is always a mistake. If you can make use of fish, make sure to do it. Coordinate with your teammates so you fish in different spots. It's great to have the options. See, haven't chosen his country yet there. And the front is kind of turned into stagnant right now. The longbows are in like a defense in depth kind of tactic here. So whenever our units push up, the longbows in the back can attack, and they were quite spread out. Now my catapults might be able to kill a few, but I'm not microing them right now. As you can see, they're pulled away. They are going. Let's follow the line back here first, and then we're going to come over here where I'm building towers, walls, and my barracks are now moving units over here. You can see by the little traces, which are extremely useful. Green, yeah, okay, he hasn't deleted his town hall, but he has deleted absolutely everything else, so unfortunately sometimes teammates just give up. I highly recommend you don't do that. It can be extremely difficult. I mean, you know, if Green had made just a few archers, some walls, towers, he could have bought us an extra 2 minutes, 3 minutes. That means we could have held this position longer, maybe pushed, maybe not. You can see some enemy galleons now. I think they knocked out Lion's junk fleet, as is to be expected. They're trying to get rid of the towers, they're trying to cut our vision back, because at the moment, on the front line, they don't have space for artillery. They've only got trebuchets, which are, you know, not exactly manoeuvrable, to say the least. And the longbows aren't going to do anything to even Eastern European towers. You can see here that we did have some time to build up an army. Lionfang has his Eastern Asian archers and some pikemen from our teammate in the back. It was extremely helpful. He wasn't part of our squad. But we did make fun of him a little bit because of this wall. It's very cinematic, very role-player-esque, but not the most useful, because if a landing does come, they have such a long distance to cover anyway, you might as well just build some towers. But it's alright, it's just a bit of a waste of wood, I think. Overall, a bit of a stagnant front right now, we're all building up. I'm starting to make cannons, no, catapults still, I'll be turning to cannons soon. We've got no country pick here just yet. I'm going Poland. Russia, in hindsight, was probably a better option. We'll see why soon. But Poland did work out. You can see green is now dead. We do have friendly trebuchets, which are very useful. And my catapults here as well. Still making catapults on my front, and Platypus here is building some melting houses quite far forward for cannons. He should probably have built them back a little bit, because if we do get pushed back like we pushed them, then they will get destroyed. And you can see the junks are actually beating the galleons, you know, mass junks going to beat the galleons, but with the attack ships from Platypus as well. The Navy game wasn't huge this game. But the Navy game wasn't as large of an impact as other games, because this map isn't entirely water. The choke point's wide enough to allow multiple enemies to fight here. And you can see it's just bombardment by trebuchets, more towers. They're really building a really tight formation here, so when our units come in, they're fighting in between buildings and towers, which means they're going to work much less effectively. You can see at this point that we have our Wonder of the World, and we got it first. I don't know if any enemies were actually nearby getting it. He's only just going IR. This player's only going IR2. This player's still IR1. Only going late medieval here in blue. Yellow's going Austro-Hungary, and I don't think anybody on the front line was anywhere near. Yeah, so our Wonder Rush actually did come in very useful. Right at the back, he did get it. We have a Germany, we have a Poland, we have a Turkey, and the East Asia's going Japan. The thinking there was, because of its choke point, the Fugos and the other Japanese explosive units are going to be extremely useful. Some combat here. We lost a few buildings. You can see these melting houses unable to do much. I'm still microing mostly my attention and army over here. We're currently building a wall a bit further back, because this wall is a bit too far forward. Some bombardiers, which are very dangerous, obviously. These could be very well used on the choke point, but at the same time I'm making my own bombardiers. Great minds seem to think alike there, allied and enemy. And another deciding factor in this game, the air wall, Farming Goliaths in this case. Sorry, that was a bit loud. The machine gun is not going to do very much against the Farming Goliath, a single machine gun, but they immediately start making anti-air guns. They have a lot of health, and they will very quickly dispatch of Farming Goliaths especially. But they have very good micro here, you know, one's going in, one's coming out, one's going in, one's coming out. They can constantly adapt to what they're shooting at, rather than attacking one big wave of bombers where they attack once, we rebuild, and they attack again. In this sustained fire, we're quite successful in whittling us down, not giving us the chance to repair, as you can see. Every few seconds a bomb's falling. What they should have done here probably is target my workers. In that case, they would know that my workers would then die, and I'd have to move new ones. It would have been a problem. So you see 2 or 3 shots there, and the Farming Goliath's half health. On the blue front, mostly the wall's done now, and the yellow player is an age behind us. He is still... he just went to Austro-Hungary, apologies, so he's just reached the industrial age, and he can't really do much about this wall. He can break it down a little bit, but Leon from the top here is doing a good job of holding it. These 2 workers sustaining his entire food economy, it seems. Some light machine gunners. These are also quite problematic for us the whole game. You can see they absolutely shred infantry, especially because these archers are now super outdated. But I do upgrade my machine gun towers, seeing all these planes, all these infantry and machine gunners, and now the farming Goliaths are getting whittled down quite quickly. You can see that this one's nearly dead, just from one run. He came in full health, but leaves nearly destroyed. And at this point, is he 3 at but at this point the farming Goliaths slow down. Where's the airfields exactly? I think there were somewhere around here. I can't seem to find them right now, but yes, the farming Goliaths are not being as effective right now. But they'll come back later in full force. So, we've skipped forward about 100 years in human progression, and you can see that the enemy broke through our forest line here in the south with archers. Again, like I said previously, that the attacks to the south were just not substantial enough. And what I mean by a couple hundred years of human development is we now have machine gun balloons, the enemy are getting anti-aircraft cannons up. Not much has changed on the front here, we got slightly pushed back, but I also wanted to show the arrival of the German army. Skullcrusher in the back has gotten to Germany, he's nearly IR2, and he's been making our big Berthas. This is the heavy artillery that's going to help us in this deadlock. At the moment we've been pushed back a little bit, we lost the towers here as you saw previously. But yeah, we've got Poland, we've got the airfields here, constantly creating balloons. There's 135 balloons right there queued up, there's no intention of stopping. The Japanese here, getting their factories up, and the light trench mortars. We need lots of different range artillery. Turkish artillery cannons in the back, Berthas in the middle, trench mortars in the front, with tanks tanking up the damage. As you can see, they haven't quite got that just yet. They do have machine guns, they have infantry, and they have artillery, but they're lacking... they have mortars, I was going to say, they're lacking long range. But you can see the Berthas are going up. The only problem is with this choke point, all choke points I guess, is that units are very bunched up. As you can see here, 1 or 2 Bertha shots there will quite heavily damage all of those units. I'm making tankettes here for the role of attacking their infantry and dealing with that, because at the moment we're lacking anti-infantry, which is why I said previously that the Russia pick would have been quite good, because we would then have death sides, which would be very successful. The balloons are very good, obviously as a first attempt, but as soon as the enemy build up any sort of anti-air capabilities, the balloons will drop off in usefulness quite quickly. Here we can see the farming Goliaths back in full force, but unfortunately they're intercepted by the floating armada of machine gunners, and not one of them gets their bombs off. There's another few coming, maybe just this one, unfortunately, and they are definitely not going to get through this many balloons. That's a lot of balloons. Who's controlling them? We've got Darko in the back. 33 balloons with many more on their way. He's carrying the air war at the moment. So the enemy do have Berthas of their own, but to get here they have to pass through this very narrow channel, which is kind of difficult for the enemy because we force them to build up so heavily. This attack looked extremely promising at this point. Unfortunately the tankettes could not get in and do much at the moment. They had just too much artillery, so we had to wait for the Berthas and the machine gunners to do things. We've got the first light trench mortars coming in, we've got AA from several different players. It's a really well coordinated team effort here, the defense and attack of this choke point, but as you can see, like I said before, the military balloons stop being so useful as soon as they get their own anti-air, which is balloons usually there, to counter balloons, and these light machine gunners also quite quickly decimating these balloons numbers. The southern front, again, it's just not substantial enough attacks. There's just a few cannons here, 3 cannons of infantry. Leon himself is holding this. I think he actually has gas mortars here. The enemy has gas mortars, yes. But again, this kind of attack is not going to be very successful. Just need to divert a few balloons down there and everything will be fine. Very hard to see the Berthas there, but one is dead now. The tankettes have been sent in because the artillery was whittled down, and here we find out that there's 2 Germany players on the enemy team. There's a lot of Berthas going to come out, and unfortunately the Berthas, they could have been pushing here. Could have taken the initiative. We knocked out most of their defences, but unfortunately the Farming Goliath's destruction, although a great task, did free up the airfields to the Potes bombers, which are going to go around the balloons, go for the artillery. You can see here, that's one Bertha, get down. More Berthas are going to die now. That's one more, and that one survives for now, but no, they survive for now, but that's 2 Berthas down just to that one plane attack. And the Berthas take a long time to make, a long time to travel, and they're really expensive. We've got some Emmas now as well, and they're built up really well here, so they can knock out several buildings, but from a good distance. So at this point we really need to hold this land, but we're getting pushed back, as you can see. You see the enemy is now adapting again to our balloons. Instead of making their own balloons, they just have the anti-aircraft cars, which you can see the health there. They do really well against these balloons. They just destroy them quite quickly. The mouse tanks are still there for some reason. They take forever to kill off, even with all this artillery we have. Again, we're just constantly getting slowly pushed back. The Ulans are, helping, but not enough to utterly defeat the enemy, unfortunately. Here you can see a little bit of a desperate attack. This player is obviously trying to snipe the town hall with his tank destroyers, but I don't think they anticipated just quite how many artillery pieces we have back here. It's quite a lot. You see, they're building up a lot on the front, and they're relying just on their units. They don't have any artillery here. They've got 1 pillbox, so we have us having a player here that we're fighting at is also still a good thing, in a way. A lot of light trench mortars here. You see we're sharing resources out back and forth. Lots of wood because of my stone lines are going up all over the place. And these light trench mortars are getting ready to defend against a further attack. Another Air Force raid, this time on my factories. This almost went very badly because they found the little secret project I was working on. You can see a lot of tankettes here, but I don't think they noticed. At least they didn't communicate it, which was good for us. These light trench mortars are a perfect target for these bombs. Not the MB262 bombs, I mean. Yeah, again, the tankettes coming in constantly, pushing back and forth, and a bit of friendly fire. It's inevitable at this kind of combat. The mortars as well, along with the trench mortars, doing a lot of damage to these Berthas, which is why those engineers, which I don't know where they are, they'd be really useful for Skull Crusher. Again, you see these Sidinies, they are so close to my town hall. 14 kills, 17 kills, 15 kills, they're able to push us back, and it takes a lot of effort to get rid of them. See Leon sending us all the resources again, and no man's land remains no man's. Here we have some military balloons clearing out the fishing boats. This is very smart, actually. They're just flowing about, and it looks like they're just knocking out our fishing boats. You see, mission controllers, but they're knocking out our scouting, because there's a little friendly gift coming in here. Quite a lot of military aerostats the last 10 minutes, so the attacks are getting a bit desperate now. And they haven't been quite noticed yet, but as soon as we notice them, you'll see how many anti-aircraft guns start going up around town halls. It's quite a feat, really. We got lots of gifts waiting for us, but the enemy have a bit of a problem with coordination, I think. Lots of attacks going on alone, which I think our team did especially well. Just through the chat and voice chat with our squad, we did really very well in terms of coordinating attacks. Maybe not gameplay-wise, but definitely coordination was on point in this game. And here we go. We have now found their military balloons. Let's see how many anti-aircraft guns get built. That's 2 there. We've got, almost certainly, I remember, a load going up around. Yeah, we got some going up here. We've already got a lot around Platypus's base because he's right on the front line. Yeah, you can see more coming up here. You can see some being built here. It's a lot of anti-aircraft guns. This you see my anti-aircraft cars as well going up. This reminds me of a video by Milkshake Industries, and a War Selection YouTuber who makes quite brilliant content. Actually, used to make anyway. And there was one video which I'll link where the military aerostats come in and there's a little edit of people building anti-aircraft guns everywhere, and that's kind of how this feels. You can see my steamboats have now landed. We missed the landing, but here you go. We got the tankettes running about. We have more as well on the way. And they're going to come up this way. There's not many, but there is more. Yeah, you see these ones here. That's just one, sorry. And these will do a bit of damage there. Nothing substantial though. Last 5 minutes. The balloons are almost there actually, almost to the player's base. But he's got anti-aircraft guns built up. He's got probably workers nearby. Maybe not actually. He's got some workers nearby there he can repair with. The town hall sniping is still trying with it. And here, as you can see, the town hall was destroyed by the tankette KDs. The replay bugged for a moment, so that the KDs weren't showing up correctly. But as you can see, the player that I did manage to snipe unintentionally was the person controlling the military aerostats. So although I didn't save this player, I did help out by removing the threat. You can see that the pushes are happening. Bits of army is coming forward, trying to figure out what the enemy are doing, because at the moment they weren't attacking us. So a little bit back and forth again, but in the last 2 minutes there isn't all that much. But here you go, you can see I'm landing tankettes again here. I took out one enemy up in the north, and I've got some more tankettes landing again. There is more on the way, but it's a slow process. You can see they're going to try to take out that town hall, but in the last 2 minutes, the purple player, who does have a very large army here, unfortunately isn't able to break through. They're now trying to snipe me, my town hall, which is unsuccessful, but you see the yellow player keeping up the pressure on the south. If he'd maybe pushed a bit harder earlier on, would have succeeded there, perhaps a bit better. You see that my attack here failed. Just worker swarms that were repairing and attacking at the same time. Last minute now, and the attacks are no longer even being attempted really. Unfortunately, that's just how it is at the end of the games, but sometimes you do see some amazing things happen. The last few seconds of the game, you know, destroying a town hall, I'm sure we've all had that moment, but you can see how many AA guns there is placed a lot around our bases. And you see they are trying to snipe me here. I don't have workers to repair with just yet, and that does mark the end of the game, unfortunately. Bit of an anticlimactic end, but it really does show how you can hold a choke point for as long as you want, as long as your team coordinates. So I think, even though we were down a player, the green player who left quite early on, we did have the great team coordination, and that meant we could hold out until the wonder. So, that will be the end of this video. Thank you everyone for watching, and enjoy the rest of your day.